Good morning. Today we are going to talk about distinguishing between volume and the price increases. Let's take an example in order to understand what's meant by volume and the price. Suppose this schedule shows average annual GDP growth rate over the period from 2012 to 2020 using current prices for three different countries: Netherlands, Mexico, and Turkey. The annual growth rate is 6.1, 43.8, and 74.2. If you are going to read these numbers, you can realize that Turkey has the highest growth rate, followed by Mexico, and finally Netherlands. But actually, these figures are misleading. We cannot read numbers in this form. It is meaningful. It's not meaningful in international comparison. So it's necessary to separate the growth from inflation, or a change in volume from a change in price. So we have number one, to separate the number to change in volume, which is growth, and the change in prices, which is inflation. Okay, so this is the new schedule after the separation. The three countries, Netherlands, Mexico, and Turkey. And this is the volume, and this is the prices. 3.1, 3.6, 6.3, and 2.9, 38.8, and 63.8. So this is the level of growth of production, and this is the increase in price level or inflation. Do you think using this schedule is correct for international comparison? Yes, it's correct, but it lacks something. It provides information only on the changes and say nothing about the comparative level. It is 3.6 out of what? Or compared to what? 3.6 compared to what? So we have to convert it to be comparable or on a comparative level of each country's GDP. So we have to make two more modifications for these values in order to be meaningful for international comparison. Number one, to divide by number of population in order to be per capita, GDP per head or per capita. As it may be 3.1 and number of population is 100, and in the Turkey it's 6.3, but total number of population is 100,000. So in this case, the case of Netherlands is growing much more than the case of Turkey. So we have to calculate GDP per capita or GDP per head. Number two, We have to use the same currency in all cases in order to be able to compare between them. We cannot compare different currencies together. So, for example, we are going to use dollars to be common for all of them. So if we do division and using same currency, this is gonna be a good indicator or good tool for comparison between different countries. Difficulties of aggregation. As we said, that in the calculation of GDP or of volume, we have to first step to collect data about production or volume, each unit of product by product. We would like to know the number of units produced product by product. And number two, aggregate them. In order to get the total or the aggregate GDP. What are the main difficulties of this aggregation? If you are going to talk about a country that produces a single commodity, so there is no problem, just a summation of all of number of units produced. There isn't any problem in this case. But actually, in real life, we are not going to produce only one commodity. So how one can aggregate these units together? So the first step in this case is to find a common unit of measurement. The main problem of aggregation, and as we produced large number of commodities, each one of them has its own unit of measurement. So in order to be able to aggregate all of them together, we have to find a common unit of measurement. Commonly, products will be expressed in monetary units. So instead of saying that we produce 50 units, we produce an amount equivalent to 5,000. So as we have a common unit of measurement, then we can aggregate them together. But do you think if you are going to add number of small cars with number of luxury cars together, multiplied by their prices, of course, do you think this will reflect the differences between both of them in the quality? Let's take an example in order to understand it clearly. Suppose that market for cars has two different types of cars, small and luxury. This is S and this is L. If you would like to calculate total production or volume in this case, so this small cars, the number of units produced of small cars is QS, and the number of units produced of large cars is QL, and the price of a small car is BS and BL. So if you would like to calculate volume or to compare production in 2 different years, we have year T and year T plus 1. So for year T, it's QS multiplied by BS, QS at time T multiplied by BS at time T, plus QL at time T multiplied by BL at time T. So this is total production in year T. For year T plus 1, if you would like to calculate just volume without increasing prices or without inflation, so we have to keep prices constant. So we are going to keep prices of year T constant. And production will be QS for year T plus 1 multiplied by BS for year T plus QL for year T plus 1 multiplied by BL for year T. So this is total production for year T. Okay, let's assume that in year T, total number of cars produced is 100. 50% of them is small cars and 50 large cars. And we know that price of large cars is twice price of small cars. So if you would like to calculate the volume for year T, it will be $50 multiplied by 1 plus 50 multiplied by 2. If you know that in year T plus 1, total number of cars produced remains the same, which is 100. But the percentage of large cars increased from 50 to 80%. So 20% small cars and 80% large cars. So if you are going to calculate without any change in price, as we would like to calculate volume, so it will be 50 multiplied by, it will be 20 multiplied by 1 plus 80 multiplied by 2. So if you are going to calculate the gross rate in this case, it will be 20%. So from this, we can realize 2 important points. Number 1, there is no need to know the prices, the absolute value of the prices of a small and large car, just the relative prices. As we said, that large cars is twice the price of large cars is twice price of small cars. So it's just the relative price. We don't have to know the absolute price. Number 2, we have to differentiate between increasing quantity and increasing volume. As we can realize that total production in year T plus 1 is 100 units. And total production in year T is 100. But at the end, we have an increase about 20% in volume as prices are constant. What's this 20%? Total production is the same. There isn't any change in total production. So this means number of units differs from volume. This 20% reflects utility. We have increased our production from luxury cars, which of course gives higher satisfaction or higher utility compared to small cars. So this means that volume index or volume number takes into account all kinds of difference in quality. It takes differences in quality in addition to number of units. So now we would like to know how to calculate volume index and the price index. We are going to use two commonly used, or actually three. We are going to focus on two of them mainly. They are Laspress index and Pash index. Both of them can be defined as weighted averages of prices or quantity ratio. Let V ij equal Bij multiplied by Qij. This is the value of products at current price. Value at current price of products I in period J. Okay, number one, Laspress. Laspress volume index. So we are going to use Laspress in order to calculate volume, not prices. Okay, this is LQ. LQ is a weighted average of the quantity ratios. LQ is calculated as summation VI node multiplied by QIT divided by QI node divided by summation VI node. Or we can write it in a simplest form, which is summation B node QT. So B at time T minus 1 multiplied by Q time T divided by summation B node Q node. As we know that any price index or volume index has a standard value for the base year, which is 100. So if you are going to calculate this for the base year, it will be 100. Any change from this value is going to be an addition to production or a decrease in production, whether it is positive or negative. So if it is calculated as 120, this means that there is a 20% more production in year T compared to the previous year, and vice versa. What about PASH? We are going to use PASH for price index. So this is going to be an indicator for inflation. It's calculated as B PASH for prices, summation VT, summation VT multiplied by B naught divided by BT. Or we can write it as summation BT QT divided by summation B naught QT. So it is just the difference between PASH and Lesper's. It is in the form of BT. In Lesper's it's P naught, and QT in Lesper's is Q naught, while the other are the same. So we can realize that PASH is the reciprocal of Lesper's. Example. If you are given the price and the quantities for 3 different commodities in 2 different years. This is the price quantity of apples, oranges, and banana for year 0. It's 1.5 and 10, 1 and 20, 1.1 and 25. And for year 1, it's 1.75, 15, 1.05, 40, 1.6, 20. And it's required to calculate Lesper's volume index in this case. So first of all, we have to calculate the value of each one of them. It's 15, 20, 27.5, 26.25, 42, and 32. Also, we can write it as 15 multiplied by 1.5 plus 40 multiplied by 1 plus 20 multiplied by 1.1. Quantities of year 1 multiplied by prices of year note. As we said, B note multiplied by QT. B note multiplied by QT. B note and QT. Okay. B note multiplied by Q note. So it will be 10 multiplied by 1.5 plus 20 multiplied by 1 plus 25 multiplied by 1.1. This is multiplied by 100 in order to get as a percentage. So it will be 135.2. So this means if you are going to compare year T or year 1 with year 0, year 0, QL for year 0, it will be 100. And for year 1, it's 135.2. This means that there is an increase in production of 35.2%. Now we would like to do this for the same example or the same numbers. We have to calculate Pash Price Index. Pash Price Index is calculated as BT QT divided by B note QT. So it is BT QT divided by B note QT divided by B note QT. Of course, multiplied by 100. It's 1.75 multiplied by 15 plus 1.05 multiplied by 40 plus 1.6 multiplied by 20 divided by 1.5 multiplied by 15 plus 1 multiplied by 40 plus 1.1 multiplied by 20. So the final is 118.6 multiplied by 1. So this means that Pash Index at year 0 is 100 and at year T is 118.6. This means that there is an increase in price level of 18.6% compared to year 0. This is the end of our lecture today. Thank you and see you next week.